Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome back to the next episode of DevChatter. As most of you know, my name is Brendan, and with me today is another person up in the corner up there. That is Steve Smith. He goes by Ardalis on the internet. Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself other than your name, since I already said that.
Hey everybody, I'm a developer and I do training and mentoring. I so want to say my name as I introduce myself, but it's hard not to do it. So you can find me on ardalis.com or on Twitter /Ardalis. And today we're going to do some pair programming here on DevChatter.
Sounds good. All right, so as anyone else who is a regular here probably noticed, I have up on the screen what we're going to be working on today. One quick thing, let me post a link in our chat there, if it'll work. Ah, dang it, it's not working. Okay, I need to do an update to make that work. But all of our source code on this stream is out on GitHub, so if you will have any interest in participating, coding along, making any changes, suggestions, or anything like that, all the code is out there. You are welcome to look at it, use it, tell us we did something wrong, fix it, whatever. It's all out there. The project we're going to be working on today, as you can tell from what's on the screen, is called Rock, Paper, Scissors, Boom. And that is a project that I'm going to give a quick explanation of. Steve already knows basically what the project is, but I will give everyone here a brief explanation. So the project is essentially a web competition. We're going to make a website that allows anyone on the internet, so anyone here in the audience and anyone else, to submit an entry into the competition. The entry is going to be your program that is going to attempt to win games of rock, paper, scissors. Now, this isn't a normal game of rock, paper, scissors. We have a couple of slight differences. The first one being that we allow you to throw dynamite as an additional option, and then we also allow you to throw a water balloon. Now, the dynamite, as you can see in this nice diagram, beats paper, scissors, and rock, so making it the best option to throw, but it loses to water balloon. Now, water balloon beats nothing except for the dynamite. So obviously, since the dynamite's the best thing, we restrict how frequently you can use it. So each program that you write will face each other competitor in the competition, and you'll do 1,000 rounds of rock, paper, scissors against your opponent, and in those 1,000 rounds, you're only allowed to throw dynamite 100 times. So, and then we determine the winner based on those results. What we have built so far on the stream is this program that I will go ahead and start up. I am first going to go ahead and run our example bot, which is the example that you could, for example, copy and take this bot and add your own logic to it. Right now, I believe its strategy right here on the basic example, this one is returning rock or maybe paper. I don't remember what that is, but that's all it does right now. And then the other one is our server, and that's where the competition takes place. Wait, what do you mean unable to... that's an annoying error. Thanks, ASP.NET. That was great. Let me increment this number. And this number. Okay, incremented. Steve, have you ever seen that error?
Your port is locked up?
Yeah.
Not if I didn't have something running on it.
Quite annoying. Yeah, we ran into that in a previous stream with a different project. And
this is all running on the latest 2.1 of ASP.NET Core and .NET Core.
Correct. Yep, we're on ASP.NET Core 2.1.
And it looks like you're using SignalR and Razor Pages?
Yes, that is correct. We're using SignalR and Razor Pages, which I will explain to everyone in a moment, and then we'll talk about what we're planning on doing. So this is the result of visiting the Run the Game page. So what it did was it went and it did every matchup for every bot. So it has Cleverbot, Signals Are Wise, SmartBot, Rocky, Treebeard, all these different bots that we have in here, all facing off against each other. And then we print out the results from each one's perspective, how they did. And that's essentially all the information that we're providing back to you right now. And each time we run this, every time we load this page, it actually goes and does this each time. So the way that we are connected to ExampleBot, as Steve alluded, we created a SignalR hub in our ExampleBot that our server talks to. So essentially the way it works is we use a SignalR bot class over here that calls through to that one, essentially making a SignalR connection over to that bot. So that is actually how that works. So that and that. Okay, so the thing that I wanted to do with Steve today is I wanted to get this data recorded in a database and set it up so our website is a little bit nicer in both the way that it runs this and the way we get our data back. Does that sound like a good set of goals for the day, Steve?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Got any recommendations for how to get me a database in here?
Well, you're currently just returning all of the list of results and then just forgetting about them, right? So
Yep.
You can probably, at least from the run the game code behind, where you've got your game runner result back, that could be what you store in the database, right?
Yep, I'm thinking we want to store everything we've got here in the database. I agree.
Okay, and that game runner result, I haven't tracked down what that type is, but it looks like it at least has a list of bot records and a list of match results. So
yep,
I'm assuming you probably want to use Entity Framework and just talk to a SQL database and use kind of the standard Microsoft stack here, or
I think
were you
that'd
thinking
be
of
a
something
good
else?
approach. No, I would be totally good with taking an EF core approach.
Okay, and you probably have identity already in here, so you've got a DB context.
I
see
don't
that?
in this one. I
Oh,
don't
you
think
got
so.
identity
Oh, I do
pages.
have data. Oh, yeah, you're right. I do have it. Okay, yeah, we've got it. Yep, we've got it. Cool.
Right,
So we have an app DB context right here, yeah.
And just start adding DB sets to it. That bot record and that full result type, hopefully, are both in your core.
I think so.
I see bot record is in your model, and full results is in your model. So those should be fine. Just add them as DB sets to your DB context.
Sounds good.
And they'll need to have some kind of ID if we're going to track them in the database. So
okay, so what Steve was suggesting is that we put a DB set here, and DB set, and it is going to be of type full result. We'll call that full results is precious. And does that end up being a property here? Is that how that one works? Full results.
Yeah, just a public DB set.
Yeah.
Results is nice. Get set.
It got fixed. And then the other one is bot record. Okay, so on these, that alone should set it up so that it wants to do a migration now. Actually, before I do this, let me make sure there isn't already a migration waiting to happen. So, the way I'm going to check for that is this. I'm going to go ahead and just say add migration test. So whenever I want to check and see just is there a migration, and I'm not necessarily planning on keeping it, I just want to find out if there's something there, I just call it test, because that's clearly a throwaway. Okay, so there wasn't anything, so what I'm going to do is I am going to clear out these items. Hey, thanks Crimson Green. I am going to discard those 3 selected changes. Woohoo! Oh, sorry. The cheers for Steve. Got it. Steve, I'll give you a couple of quarters later. All right, so so we have these records in here. So now when I run this add migration, so I want to say create, and let's do this one at a time. We're going to say create, what is this? Full results. We're going to say create full results table. Will be that migration.
And you're trying to keep a running history of each migration so that you can roll forward or back as needed, right?
Yes, exactly. That's why I want to do them one at a time also. Okay, so bot record I don't think we're going to be able to get to just yet. What's in this one? It does have the bot. Okay, so here's the problem I ran into. This
first problem is going to be you don't have an ID. Your second problem is going to be you have relationships to other types.
So let's think about this slightly differently. This is the model that we want to work with in our code. Is this the model we want to save? Is it the same thing? Not sure this is exactly what we want to save. Unless we want to keep track of the bot, at which point I think we need to keep track of a bot.
I think a bot can be reduced to just a name.
It's a name and potentially a URL if there's one associated with it.
Are we going to have bots be connected through like a web API interface, or?
They can be. That's what this one connected through SignalR is. So essentially, if you want to do your bot in another language that we don't support for whatever reason, because we can't support any language, all you need to do is give us a web interface to talk to, is our goal. So like, we're just going to request from you what your move is. Okay, so...
in the interest of keeping the scope minimized for now, though, let's assume that we only have local bots that we control.
And we'll just store their name.
Yes.
Okay.
And we can add features later.
Sounds good. So if we go back to the full results. Okay, so full results has bot name, but then it has a list of match results. And these also have the actual bot. The question is, in this one, are we using anything more than the name? And I don't think we are. So let's do a quick refactoring here also. Where we
just change those to strings?
Yeah, I'm going to change these to string and just keep them the name. Means we're going to have to require names to be unique.
What if we had a GUID as the ID of each bot? And then we wouldn't have to worry about checking for any of this. We can always, replace out the name with the actual registered bot, but, this gives us a uniqueness that you're looking for.
Player 1 ID? Player 2 ID then?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you're still going to also need the players as your iBots because you have those things there that require them? Or will you be able to just do it with that? I'm not sure what you're doing here.
I think I'm going to be able to... yeah, I think we were doing an equality comparison on these. So
right.
This was ID. This one's ID. Let me clear some of this. Sorry about that. Steve's going to block our view for a second. We don't get to see any of Solution Explorer.
I'll duck. So
yeah.
If I had a green screen, that might actually work.
Yeah, if you had a green screen, I would totally have you chroma keyed right now.
I've got a whitish screen.
Yeah, it doesn't help as much as you'd think.
You just have to find the right chroma key.
Alright, we're going to switch this back to a statement body because this line got too long. Okay, there we go. So that looks a little bit nicer. So essentially we're saying was won by is player ID equals competitor ID, player 2, blah, 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 and matching those up. So we just added IDs to those, so we're using ID instead of player. Okay. Now I want to go to the application data context again, comment this out for now, because we don't actually want that in there yet. Now I'm going to go find the ramifications of changing from a reference to the bot to using the GUID. So here we go, was won by, and we don't want competitor, we want competitor.id. Now, iBot doesn't have an ID yet, but it's about to. So we're going to say GUID ID get. So we're going to add a property to the interface, which means I want to go to basebot and add it here. So system GUID, and we'll say protected set. There we go. And is it that's the way that EF Core can still set it, I believe. So now that we have that value, because we've got it here, everything that inherited from basebot should have an ID now, even if it's not actually unique yet. This will be ID. And then I think we want these to be GUIDs also. Or we could just grab the ID off these. We'll find out if we use these for anything other than just getting their ID in a moment. So the player 1 and player 2 here. Because I have a feeling on round results, that winner is going to be an ID also. So I think that's going to disappear, but we'll see. Let's fix one compiler error at a time. So this is getting player names off of that, so we don't have the values. So I'm not sure how to grab that then. Okay, so this looks like this is the point where we hit needing something more. Inside of our game runner, when we want to create our full results, it's wanting to have the names. Why does it want the names? Does it use all names for just a comparison based on IDs? I think we can get away with, I think we can change this so it uses IDs instead of names.
Can you just implement iEquality on the players? Then you don't have to check the properties versus and the IDs and whatnot. Just check if they're equal.
True, but I think we got rid of the player object off of this one, so I only have the ID on these now on the match results.
Yeah, that's true. Fine.
So since we pulled it. But yes, you're right. We could take that approach. So we're going to make that ID, this ID. So we're going to union together all the IDs into all IDs. And that is a really hilarious name. Two L's followed by a capital I all together like that. Okay, since the name we're going to have, wait, didn't I just do a rename on that? ID, there we go. And we're going to say player 1 ID, and player 2 ID. So full results wants a bot name, but I don't think we can give it that right now. I think we have to go with bot ID. So bot ID is what we get. Okay, what do you think, Steve? Do we compile yet?
Going with no.
We're kind of close.
I can cheat and just build it on my machine.
Yeah, but yours is still using the old code.
It should be updating as you update, right? With live share?
Yeah, it will. Okay, so now we're basically gonna be displaying the wrong value unless we go to. So we're inside of run the game model. If we go to the front end of this, which I think you guys can see, you can. You'll see that we have red errors over here. So if we do this, we end up, so we've basically gotten to the point where we have IDs and instead of names. It'd be nice if we had both. So we'll see if we can get both now.
Right, because you don't want to just be displaying these IDs on the results page. That's going to be lousy.
Yeah, so let's add this. So bot name. So we do all our comparisons now based on IDs. The reason we pulled that is because we want to be able to do good comparisons and make sure that works. So now over here,
I get the feeling that where we're going to end up is that we need bot to be an entity.
I think bots needing to be an entity. That's what I was saying. I think we're going to need to add a bot as an entity.
Right.
And I think that'll solve a lot of our problems.
Yes.
So why don't we start here?
Base bot.
Oh, you want base bot to be an entity?
Base bot's already got a GUID ID and a name. That's pretty much all we need to store.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, okay, that works. Where do we have it stored? Game base bot. All right. I'm gonna move it to model then. I'm not sure the other ones we actually want to have be a concept in the database. What's weird is that this is an abstract. So wouldn't we need a type for these then?
I see what you're saying. Because of the way we're using inheritance.
Yeah, for all the different bots. Which those bots don't need to be written that way anymore. They could be, like, we could change them, but that's the way they are now.
Yeah, the other issue we're going to run into, looking at like Cleverbot, for instance, is that you don't have a parameterless constructor, which EF will need.
Yeah, if we store all the bots that way. Oh.
Oh wait, no, you do have a parameterless one. Never mind. You're just setting a name in it. That's fine. Some of the other ones don't, but Cleverbot does. So that's fine.
Okay. I need to fix all these compiler errors and the tests now. Because now that everything else builds, the tests fail.
Yep.
Okay, the other thing I want to do about BaseBot, these need to have unique IDs now, I think. So those tests I was just fixing, they're not going to be fixed unless I do this.
You're going to have to initialize it to a new GUID.
Equals squid.newGUID on each one of these.
Yep.
Which also means that I don't want to make that be protected, so we're going to make it public now. Anybody can set the ID on these things, at least for now.
Why do you want to let them set it? Why are you not? Oh, you need to be able to set it from your test?
Yeah, in order for the test to be able to do it.
Why do you want the test to do it? Just set it on the entity. Set it on BaseBot.
You think on BaseBot we should just have it do that?
Yeah. When you create one, it has an ID. It's like GUID. It's fine.
Well, yeah, but when you yank it out of the because when you hydrate it from the database, it'll
get set. Correct. Yeah. It'll override whatever random thing it had.
Okay.
So yeah, you just set it on BaseBot once, and then you don't need to do what you're doing in your tests, and it doesn't need to have a public setter.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can get away with that then. At which point this becomes protected again. So protected set, we'll set a value. I guess we probably won't get so many bots that we worry about
I added some code for you.
Cool. Where?
BaseBot.
Oh, you did? I didn't even see you do that.
I did that. It's not highlighting on your screen, but it's supposed to.
Yeah, it should. I'm
So
trying to follow you.
On line 9, I added the equal GUID.newGUID bit, which was not previously there. Oh, did you do that on line 9?
Yeah.
We must have done it at the same time then.
Weird. I don't know. It's doing something strange then. Because I'm not able to follow you. Are you able to... Oh, there. Now I'm able to follow you. Oh, that's the problem. It got confused and didn't fully move this file. I think was the issue. There we go. Okay, we are compiling now. So that's good. Alright, so we switched to using ID instead of using the actual bot object.
You should see wherever I'm clicking, right?
Only if I'm following you.
Oh, you have to choose whether to do that. Okay.
Well, I should always see you. Hang on.
If we happen to be in the same file, you should see what I'm doing, even if you're not following me, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure why I'm... There, okay. I see you in run match should. And you're highlighting the rock.
Okay. I hear you saying that, but I don't see it on the stream. Because there's like a slight delay on the stream, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's always a couple of second delay at least.
Got it.
So I am seeing you. It seems like there's something wrong with the basebot file. Because now that you're in the basebot file, I don't see where you... Are you clicking anywhere?
Yeah. I just highlighted GUID.new GUID on line 9.
I don't get that.
That's
So,
okay, that's strange.
Yeah. There's some weirdness with this file, apparently. Where is the file? Is it in model for you?
It's in bots still. Maybe. Oh, there's 2 of them. I got it.
And I've been trying to delete the extra one. I've been trying to delete the one that's in the model folder. I keep deleting that file, so I wonder if VS LiveShare is keeping it up.
It just disappeared. So maybe I was in whichever one was the other one.
So, I don't know if we mentioned everyone, but VS LiveShare is still in preview.
I just closed all my tabs, and it did ask if I wanted to save changes to basebot, and I said sure, whatever. So now it's back in model. So you want it out of model, right?
Yep.
I'm deleting it from model from my end.
Sounds good.
I'm in bots, and I'm highlighting new GUID.
I still don't see it over here. There's something weird with this file. Okay, so we'll just be cautious of that file. We might have to disconnect and reconnect before it gets back in sync. Anyway, let's go ahead and create the actual model that we want to have saved then. Oh yeah, and basebot is still not gone. It won't kill this. Thanks, VS LiveShare. This is recorded. We should send the VS LiveShare team here. How far in are we? Oh, right, I didn't get the right bot going. Oh, no. Stream's been going for 33:52. There we go. Alright, so about a half hour in, we ran into problems. I will note that, unless someone wanted to clip it. Okay, so the model that we want to have here, we're thinking that we want to have some kind of a bot, right?
Yes.
What is a bot record? No, that's like a...
And we probably ought to just call it bot, right?
Sure. Bot. Or competitor, maybe? What do you think, competitor or bot?
Well, where are you trying to call it this?
This is what we're going to have as like our model object that we're eventually going to store in the database.
And you want that to be different than your basebot?
Yeah, I think it's different.
Okay.
Maybe it's the same thing. I don't know. Is it the same thing, you think?
I don't know. A basebot has an ID and a name. That's all we're going to store in the database. At least that's the minimum that we need to store.
All right. Let's toss it in appdb context then. We'll see what we get. Data, appdb context. This will be our first one. I'm just worried about the fact that you can't set this, that you can't create this thing on its own. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's abstract, so I don't know what EF Core is going to do about that.
Right.
Let's see what it suggests as a migration. Couple of errors, just like 2. Basebot is not instantiatable, and there's no derived type in the model that corresponds to the concrete CLR type. So yeah, we can't make this one.
I think we want table per hierarchy as our strategy. And what this will do is it'll create a single table that takes the name of the base class and includes a discriminator column to identify the type of each row. It sounds like what we want.
Okay.
To do that, I'm not certain if you can do it with an abstract base class. Okay, here it says, if instances of the base class are not intended to be instantiated, declare it as abstract, and then configure an on-model creating method that fact. So on-model creating, you would map. I see. Now they've still got a DB set for each different type of thing. I'm not sure we want that. That's the trick. So I'm looking at a documentation page here that has contracts, and they have mobile contracts, broadband contracts, TV contracts. It has different subtypes of an abstract contract type, but they're creating a separate DB set for each one of those types. We want to be able to just store whatever, right, and not have to worry about the type. And I don't think EF Core is going to go with that. We almost need to store the name, the fully qualified name of the thing, and then use reflection to instantiate it once we get it out of there. So perhaps your approach of just having a really simple competitor entity will work, and then maybe we store a string in there that is the type of bot that it is using, and then we can use reflection to instantiate that bot rather than trying to store that bot instance in EF Core. Why don't we do that? Then at least we know a competitor that simply has an ID and a name is going to be pretty easy for us to get EF to work with.
Okay, so GUID ID and prop string name.
Yes.
Do we want anything else on here? Type, maybe?
Public string bot type.
And I'm going to do URL in case we need it, because I think we're going to need it almost immediately.
If you say so.
And we're going to need it for the SignalR bot. So even getting the set of bots we have today, one of them uses that.
If you use reflection to instantiate a bot, well, the SignalR bot doesn't use that, right? So the URL
is passed in right
either
here.
or from the bot type.
If you check out Run the Game, so the SignalR bot takes in a URL.
Right. I don't know where SignalR bot is.
It lives in the web project because it's a SignalR thing.
Okay.
So I have it in there for now. Okay, so we have competitor, bot type, URL, ID, name. So let's go to appdb context, and we're going to say competitor. And we're going to call this competitors. So I think that works. Now let's try a migration. Create a competitors table. Competitors table. So I apologize, everybody, that I know that text is super tiny. All I typed was add dash migration and then create competitors table. Super tiny text. Also, it's behind my head.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, it's above my head now because I dragged it up there, but it was behind my head. Okay, so that should have created our new classes here. Right there, create competitors table. And I'm going to drag this out of the way now. Okay, looks like it created a table. It figured out that the primary key was ID. And we have a drop table on competitors for when we migrate down. That looks right to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this migration. What is it, update database? I think it's update database.
It's update database.
Is it update dash database?
In the PowerShell thing it is, yeah.
Yeah. Whoop. Oh.
By the way, I'm messing around with...
yeah, I'll wait for you to finish that. We don't compile just yet. Okay, so you're going to make base entity that has an ID. Yeah, we're going to need that. So.
Yeah. I think you should be compiling now. I'm not sure why that's red. Not be found.
Oh, because the using's missing.
Doesn't need a using, but it disappeared when I said move it to its own file. It's just gone. Do you have a base entity.cs?
No.
Hang on.
Sorry, nuke the one I just made.
That's fine. I just undid on my end.
Let me try to move it to its own file. There we go.
Okay.
Base entity. Now it worked. Wait. Can we get away with a private set on that?
It is a private set.
I mean, can we get away with that?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Can EF hydrate this? Okay, it can hydrate with private. Okay, I knew it could with protected.
EF or Visual Studio is going to make that gray and say nothing's using it, so we can get rid of it. But that's lying to you, because if you get rid of it, then EF can't call it.
Yeah, I know. It'll say that with protected also. Okay. Wow, that did a lot more than I expected it to do. But
are you actually trying to put this into a database every time, like a real database? Because the other thing you can do that'll speed things up is just use an in-memory database.
Use the in-memory database, yeah, I know.
Then you don't have to migrate all the time.
We aren't using it right now. Oh, we just got an auto host from Fritz. It wasn't a real host, it was an auto host. What in the crap is this? Welcome everyone from C# Fritz. Hopefully you all had a good stream. I think I caught a little bit of his stream. He was doing some pair programming and doing app insights. We are doing some ASP.NET Core coding here as well. We're not on Azure for ours, but we are working on a rock, paper, scissors, boom game. Okay. So we just ran our EF Core migration, and now we should have in our database, if we take a look, our competitor table.
And are you just using SQL Server Object Explorer for that?
Whoops, wrong one.
And I look at your database through LiveShare.
That I don't know.
I think I might be able to. That would be pretty awesome.
That'd be super weird, actually. I'm not sure awesome is the word I would describe for being able to access a SQL server on someone else's computer.
Local DB, MS SQL local DB, got that. And
I sure hope that's your MS SQL DB there, Steve.
It seems to be.
Good.
Sad. I should totally be able to trusted connect my way into your database on your dev machine through LiveShare. That wouldn't be a problem at all.
Yeah, sounds totally safe. Sounds totally safe. No ramifications there.
Yeah, okay. I don't think I'm going to be able to see your stuff, except through the stream.
So it looks like this is where we would set up our bots. I could hard code in our names and bot types here, but I think I would rather create those on our first run of the system and run the game or something like that, or maybe on app startup, load these in. Why don't we do it on app startup? Does that sound like a good plan?
Yeah, although you only need to do it like once, so the other option is just create a page that does it, like a Razor page or a button on the run the game that says, hey, load up the competitors.
Yeah, I guess I could do the first time we'll do it. So let's add our DB context to this. You weren't planning on jumping us to a repository or something like that right off the bat, were you?
I have no plans. This is your project.
Okay, so good.
You do whatever you want.
You made a base entity. I just wanted to make sure. You started that path.
I saved you from having to write ID 100 times.
Twice.
You're not done yet.
Thrice? Yeah. Oh, there will be a couple more. You're correct. All right, so now we have access to the DB, so let's go ahead and check and see. Someone here, Joe Boo, welcome. So competitors, any. So we're going to say if there aren't any competitors, if, whoops. That's one of those features right here. Notice it put this inside of my if statement that should be useful, but actually isn't. I want to create these bots in here. So, list of competitors. Equals competitors equals new list competitor. Actually, I should make this the list up here, shouldn't I? List of competitors equals, and then I want to say underscore db dot competitors.
Competitor dot toList. Or string, whatever you like.
Yeah, list, string, they're pretty much the same thing. Alright, so now I want to do my, if we didn't get any out of these out of the database, then we want to add them to the database. Yep. Okay, so competitor.add is my new code here. Competitor.add, and then this is not a competitor, this is all these types. So I want to say new competitor rip. I don't know if anybody saw what just happened there. Competitor
name equals
quote quote alright, so it's the type equals that's the next one we're going to get to that's weird. Type equals, was it called type name?
Bot type name, yeah.
Bot type.
Bot type.
Bot type equals.
And just give that an empty string for now too. We'll fill it in. What are you doing? Bot type.
Yeah, it's on an extra line. It's getting really confused right now.
But you have
Visual Studio, what the crap are you doing? What are you doing? You're so bad at this. So bad.
Quote, quote.
Do you not see what's going on here, Steve?
It looks fine on my end. Like in the screen share, the live share.
Really? It's like making all kinds of new stuff. You're not seeing that?
I stopped watching the stream because it had that delay and it was messing me up. So now I'm just I'm following you on live share. And, you know, I see it looking all right. Like, I'm ready to help and start typing in names and stuff, but you keep screwing around, so I'm waiting.
All right. It's messed up something fierce right now. Out here. I'll stop touching stuff. There you go. Start copying. Hey, Ace Flame Seer, welcome.
Shoot, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Okay, so then we just need that URL for this one.
Yep, and I will get rid of the excess on this one.
What else did you have on there besides the URL? Just name and bot type. Yeah, I guess that's good.
Yeah, I think it's name, URL, bot type.
The ID we're picking up for free. So where do we need another parenthesis? What do we need here? Paren, curly, curly, paren. Why is it
Curly.
red?
Curlies. You're missing curlies. There you go.
Okay, they're all
Now we
still
got
red
them.
on mine.
Oh, they're fixed over here.
Alright.
Let's simplify this a little bit by using a collection initializer. Now we got extra space to work with.
Alright, now it looks good on mine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that refactoring messes with a lot of code, so it should definitely get a lot clearer there. Okay, so now we have all the bots here, and we should be able to insert these into a database.
Yeah, just do an add range. Want me to type it?
Sure, go for it.
Where's my IntelliSense?
You hit an extra underscore.
Oh, that was someone else.
I was probably Brendonius and Sudoku. They probably snuck in the room behind you and are typing on your keyboard, yeah.
Those jerks. Alright, I still have a curly, closing curly expected, but I don't know why. But I'll just ignore it.
I would ignore it. It looks fine on mine. Why is it
Seriously,
getting an extra
only
underscore? Like,
typed
what
it
is that?
once. I don't know. I'm going to try this one more time. Oh, you're not typing, right?
I'm not typing.
Okay, I don't know why I did that. Look, as soon as I hit the
Whoa!
dot, it does it. The dot adds it.
It's
You
like
dot.
auto-completing an extra one on there.
Every time.
I think, yeah, well, I don't know what... Some tooling is doing that.
I guess.
Yeah. I don't...
Alright.
That's a new one.
It's fabulous.
Yeah, that was a good bug.
Alright, so that should be good. Stream hasn't caught up yet, but soon.
Okay, so now we have this. Okay. Now the question is, once we put these in the database, how do we make it so our bots are these bots?
Well, when you launch the game runner, instead of just saying add bot, new, whatever, right on line 50, we're going to do a for each over our competitor list, which we will either have just newed up the first time, or we'll have gotten out of the database. And for each one of those things, we will new up the appropriate type. And then if that type is a SignalR bot, we will also set the URL.
Do we want like a competitor factory or something like that? To create...
Yeah, we might eventually, but I think initially we could just do it in line right here. It shouldn't be that difficult.
Okay, let's do this as a... First off, let's do this one as a method. I'm going to extract this as a method and say get default.
That'll be good.
Why is that not coming? Get default competitors. Okay. There we go. Alright, so now we have that. So we say, if there weren't any, get the default, add them, and save it. Next thing is we want to create these given those values. So you're thinking for loop right here. So why don't you go ahead and create a for each.
It's not helping me.
Okay.
Alright. And then we want to create a new bot. So var bot equals activator dot stop helping me. Where's activator come from? System, apparently. Create instance of bot dot. What did we say it was? Bot type.
Competitor.bot type.
Oh yeah, thanks. There we go. And then we could say something like if competitor.bot type equals.
We doing a switch statement on this or something?
Well, basically, if the bot is a SignalR bot, we want to set that URL, right? We don't need a switch statement. We're going to create it with whatever the type is. What are you doing?
Get
There's a
type
string.
by name.
What?
You need a type, not a string.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, create instance works on a type. It does. I don't think it has an overload for string, does it?
You may be right. Okay.
Yeah,
they
all take type. So
there, that's good.
Get type by the type name. So this is a fancy thing in C#. It has this. So while Steve's typing that piece, I'll explain. It has this concept of typing, and what it can actually do is it can create a type just by knowing the type name. So that string we saved up here, actually down here now, of the fully qualified namespace and the type name here, like this, it can take that value and get us the type based on that. So realistically, actually, we should do these like this. We should say type of that value, and then say dot full name. That's probably the safer way to do this, because then it'll get these even if we change their namespaces. So
Your SignalR bot needs to have a property for its URL. Right now it's just a private field.
Make it a property then.
Actually, it's not even a private field. It only exists in the constructor. Alright, so...
Yeah, we'll have to adjust how it works then. They might need a connect method or something like that. I'm not sure. Let's watch what Steve's doing.
Trying to create a property, which it looks like that worked. Yeah, so the issue is going to be, since we, well, two things. One, this thing doesn't have a parameterless constructor, which is going to be a difficulty for us when we try and do that instantiation.
That activator.create instance, yeah. We're going to need to make sure that each of these has a parameterless constructor.
So let me add that as well. Come on, Visual Studio, give me my helpful tools.
Yeah, so we are running very early preview VS Live Share. It's super powerful and nice, but it does come with its share of bugs.
Didn't they release it? Or is it just
it's a public preview?
A public preview. All
yes,
right.
It was a private preview before. So, all right.
What's this name? Is that on? That's on the base bot. All right. So we're gonna have to move this initialization work that's inside of here to happen.
We're gonna have to have an init method, or something like that. Or the first decision, if it hasn't been initted, it would init on. For example. So yeah, private void initialize method, yeah, and then a boolean to tell whether or not we did it already. Or I guess you could say if connection is null. That also works. Why does it not like underscore connection right there? Oh, it's read only. I'll fix that.
Oh, here? Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay, there you go.
And then here, we'll just do the initialize.
Yep.
That's a slight bit of overhead now. This gets called a lot of times, but it should be fine.
Well, that's why I was going to suggest we do the if connection check out there. So
We could.
Because then you don't have to go into a method each time. So it saves you a context switch for the system. So, and you could do the check in there too if you like. I'm just thinking.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Do this.
Yep, that sounds good. Just as a minor micro optimization that we.
Yeah. Well, it's going to get called 1,000 times for every opponent. So if every signal RBot we have does this, that escalates very quickly.
But you're already just doing a while loop here to just sit and wait for your thing. It's interesting. All right.
Oh, yeah, because so we were going to do a promise. We need to rewrite this with a cancellation token and everything like that so that it's a little bit nicer than this, but
this works apparently.
Yeah, this worked.
All right, so back to the other one where we were going to instantiate these. I was trying to set that URL. Was where we last left off with our hero. API root URL equals competitor dot. Boom. All right. So with that, theoretically, we don't need all of this.
Yeah, you set the URL in our.
I did this very safe cast here that will never ever just blow up and tell us it can't do it. The other thing that we need to do is make sure all of our bots have parameterless constructors.
Which one of them doesn't?
Fail.
Actually, a couple of them don't. And they are the clever bot and the smart bot and random bot. So I'm going to go hop over to random bot. You want to pick one of the other ones?
I'll do clever. Oh, clever's got one. Clever's
actually, fine. Oh no, sorry, these are the ones that do have them. Sorry, opposite list. We want rock, paper, scissors, and water. So I'll start on water.
I get paper only.
Okay. Which actually no constructor qualifies. Hopping into scissors.
On rock. You didn't do rock already, did you?
Nope.
Good. Because it doesn't look like you did on my screen either.
Dark Matter Dev. Basically, it's a bot that roams around in Twitch and reminds streamers to make sure that they're actually drinking on a regular basis. Because some streamers do like 8-hour+ streams, and if they don't remember to, stop and drink things, they'll get dehydrated.
So wait, it's not yours? It randomly joins into your stream?
Yep.
Okay.
So you could
probably block it if you wanted to.
Oh, no, I don't care. It reminds me to take a drink, too. Yeah, it's basically like a virtual mom. Yeah. I would forget to drink. And get dehydrated. Yes, I think someone had to tell it, Blub. But I don't know who told it. I would guess maybe it's our resident Banhammer user. API root URL. I said read only. What? Oh. You didn't give the API root property a setter.
Yeah.
Alright, fixed a couple of things there. Signal RBot has a hero constructor. Okay, it'll hydrate when...
See, it's all about hydration.
Oh. Hey, come on, man. Steve. Type of. Dot full name. Done. Look, no more string. That's what you were talking about, huh? I wasn't watching when you were like, yeah, I put this totally safe thing that's never going to break. Alright. Does that look good now?
I don't see what you changed.
I changed it. This is no longer a string here. There's no more magic string.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing I would probably do if I were going to refactor that real quick is just do an as and try and cast the bot to a signaler bot and then check it for null. But this should work just fine too. So are we ready to try and run it?
Oh, actually, wait. Bot is that tight would be no.
You could do a pattern match on it, couldn't you?
For where
Just
do
to
we create
see.
the instance? Actually, oh, this is an instance of that type. Yeah.
Right. Can't we do pattern matching, a new C#7 feature
Yeah.
to get us
Yes,
a signaler
exactly.
bot?
Yes, that's exactly what we can do.
Somebody I know has done a presentation on that.
Only one? Someone you know has done plenty of presentations on exactly this concept. So, bot dot.
You have to give it a name now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Then you call it signaler bot. There we go. Now it's got a matched strongly typed
Signaler
name.
API root equals competitor.url.
See, this is a learning moment.
Yep, there you go.
You should leave the other one there in comments and be like, instead of this ugly code.
Yeah, because we really need to leave this here. So this code I did here is like a better way of writing that.
Right. Yeah. All right, cool.
That is nice. Okay. Bot is this. And this is just an object here. We need to do something with these, don't we? Game runner.
They get added to some collection, don't they?
Yeah, they need to get added to the game runner.
Before you get rid of all that commented code, it showed us what it was supposed to be.
If bot is... what's the base bot?
Why are you ifing it? We know they are.
Well, because this is going to need it. We're going to have to cast it anyway.
Well, it knows it's a base bot. What are you talking about? Just do game runner add bot.
Oh, you want to see what's going to happen here, Steve? We'll do that. Look at that. It's red squiggly.
Because the var is an object?
Yeah, we'd have to cast this as whatever type it is. So we could cast it as a base bot right here if you want. And that'll be fine. Like, and then it works. I was just going to do the is, because then it's safe.
Okay.
So, hey, Mr. Bubbles, welcome. Okay, so that ought to get that running. Let's run the site. I want to see what the state of it is. Well, how close are we to compiling? Let me build and just make sure we actually build.
Let's build first before we run the site.
You know what? One of the sites works just fine because it doesn't have dependencies on all the same stuff. Oh, it's the unit tests that are broken. Okay. That's not surprising.
You should just remove that project from the solution for now.
Wait, does Rock Only Bot still have a constructor? Oh, you just added one. Oh, okay, that's funny. You added. I nuked the. I just got rid of the ability to set the name that way.
Oh, well, if you do that, we can just wipe out both constructors then.
Yeah, that's all I did for now.
I assumed you were actually using these things because why would you code them if you weren't using them?
Well, I mean, I was, but that's why my unit tests are breaking now. Is because I don't have them now, but they don't technically matter.
See, I didn't break your unit tests.
Yeah, no, I did. Because I got rid of unused code that was only being used in the test and not actually used in production. I call that a win. I've somewhere read that. So Paxington, instance of or is usually a hint for bad design. There should be an activator create instance of T. Yeah. So Paxington, what you're referring to is basing it on types instead of using polymorphism. It's not always a bad thing. So usually what you do is there's one place in your code where you are doing that instance of or is, in this case, pattern matching. And it usually means that you, due to some circumstances, don't know for certain what the type is initially. And then what you do is once you have the type or you have confirmed a type, then you work with it polymorphically. So the idea is you have one place, usually a factory or something like that, that does some kind of a switch statement or an if statement based on types or values of something, and then that gets you the object you use polymorphically for the rest of your code. So you're not wrong, Paxington.
And that should be the only place in your code where you do a switch statement on type.
Exactly.
For that type.
Yep, exactly. You should do it one place only then. So the idea is, you probably heard me mention when we started that, I asked whether we wanted to take the time to do the factory, and Steve kind of gave it the feedback of the almost you ain't going to need it kind of thing, the Yagni response of like, well, let's just build it this way first, and then if we need it, we'll extract out the factory. So usually a factory class is where that lives. The other common place I see it is in filters in like ASP.NET MVC. You'll see that in an action filter a lot of times because binding objects come in and you can have different values. So action filters, just the way they work, if you know MVC. If you don't, I could explain it at some point. I'm sure we'll cover them here on stream. Okay, so I am going to nuke these values. We no longer need these in the constructors.
You need them somewhere or not?
No, these are just names that I don't think we're using.
Oh, okay.
Nope, we're not. And we didn't get Dynamite Only Bot. That was my bad. Oh, because Dynamite Only Bot isn't one of the competitors right now. That's why we didn't fix that bot.
Alright, I'm going to jump to Rock Only Bot and do the same change to it that you did with yours. Get rid of the constructors.
Okay, sounds good. And I think I fixed all the tests. Yeah. I love that you can save. That's the hilarious part. Like we're both running the same set of files. If you change the Rock Only Bot, everybody watch this tab. Just make a change and then save it, Steve. Like add a space or something. So notice the red dot appears there, and now save, Steve. And then the red dot's gone. So like I know it was small there and only there for a second, but like we can see when Steve makes changes and when he saves. It's really kind of neat. He's probably saying horrible things about me in there. He's like, Brendan is an idiot. Yeah, so, okay. Let's see. We're in here. What is this error? Let's fix it. Oops. There we go.
Error, constructor.
Nothing anymore.
All
yeah.
Right, same stuff. Okay.
Yep, it's just getting rid of that constructor. Okay. So, here is what we need to do. First thing, I want to attempt to make it so that we can run multiple solutions at the same time. We had a problem with that in this project before. I'm hoping, without having done anything, that this is just going to work. And I'm going to be able to have multiple startup projects. 1 and 2. Yes! It works this time! So, many streams ago, we tried to do that, and it didn't work.
You should watch the DevIQ solution from Eric on how to do that.
There is one, yes. Hey, Karma Lightwing. Okay, value cannot be null, parameter name type.
We gave all those things names. Did since you're using a real database, let's look what data is in your database.
Yeah, that's a good idea. View data. Those are all values.
You should share your screen with me on Skype, and that way I could actually see what you're doing without having to wait for it to show up on Twitch.
Sorry, everybody. You get red border. There you go, Steve. So we definitely have bot type strings in here. Let's see what happens in the code. So I'm going to debug this because those are all the full real values that we expected to see. Which interestingly means we no longer need this, set default competitor list thing because this won't come back null anymore.
Yeah, but it will as soon as somebody else clones this thing and runs it for the first time on their machine.
True.
So don't get rid of it.
Alright, so here's the server. Run the game. Okay. Let's see. Game runner. Competitor. There are 8 competitors. First one, we come in. This has a value, so it has name Sharpie, bot type with a bot type. That's weird.
So type.getType is coming back null?
Hang on. I'm wondering, did you try to hit did you try to step a step, Steve?
I have not touched anything.
Okay.
I'm just watching. Cannot blame me.
Let's do this. We're going to put each one of these on their own line, because to this day, as far as I know, Microsoft has yet to tell me in a null reference or argument null or whatever it is, more specifically, in all the null things, what is the type of the value? What was the type of that null supposed to be?
Yeah, which they have to know.
Yeah, they have to know the type. They in one of those discussions, they told me one time, well, we can't get you the name. We don't have it at that point. The name's actually gone. Okay.
We don't care. Tell us the type.
Give me the type. That's close enough most of the time.
Right.
It's
yeah, the name would be nice, but a lot of times it has no name.
Yeah.
It's some anonymous thing in the middle of a statement. But
Yep. Okay, so we have the string.
Every time you debug, it launches a Chrome tab for me on that port.
Sorry.
But it says it can't connect. Usually it should connect, but I think it's because you're debugging, so it hasn't returned a response yet.
Yeah. Okay, so type is null. It does not get a type at that. So this comes back as null every time, it looks like.
Is my type name not correct? I mean, it should be a fully qualified name, and that looked like it was. Maybe we just don't know how to use type.getType.
Yeah, we must have done the wrong thing.
I already demonstrated that I don't know how to use create instance, so.
Throw on error, ignore case.
Throw on error would help. Stack Overflow says that if that returns null, this only works when the type is found in either MS Core Lab or the currently executing assembly. If neither of these things are true, you'll need an assembly qualified name. Interesting. So we need to load it from a different assembly because it's in that other package.
Which means we need a comma and then the assembly name, don't we?
Yes.
Okay, so that's...
Comma the DLL name, yes.
Yeah, so that's not the full thing. So, hang on, so...
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Type of... And then let's just say it's a signal RBot, right? So that's a type.
Yeah, we've got them in two different assemblies too.
Yeah, that's fine though. It doesn't matter. What we need to do is so we used full name. We want assembly qualified name that we store in the database. So we're going to stop this.
You're going to just store the whole thing in the database.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Assembly qualified name, I believe, is the one we want. So.
Gotcha. And then just nuke the table.
Yep, that's the idea, and it'll rebuild it. Hooray. The thing you're going to laugh about is that's actually how I do all the various things in my chatbot also. I just have it set up so that if you nuke the table, it'll recreate the table.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need to reset the data, just nuke the table and it'll create that table again.
Of course, that's what one does.
Yeah, it's actually nice and easy for that. Oh, Dark Matter Dev, maybe you should use type.assembly qualified name instead of full name.
Maybe.
Yeah, Dark Matter Dev, that'd be a good idea.
There's totally no timestamp on that. He must have said that after we already figured it out.
Actually, he said it at 1:20, so that was about when we were figuring it out, I think.
All right. I don't see a timestamp on my screen.
Did you navigate to the page?
It launched the page.
You went to runthegame.csh, like that page?
No, it just launched with the another blank tab, which I immediately closed.
Oh, okay. Weird. I don't know how we got it onto this page, but somehow we got here again. Okay, so now... Is this able to get it? Yes! Okay, now it created one. So let's go ahead and let this run. Wait, Steve, the camera on Steve is frozen? Wait, hang on.
I'm just sitting very still. I have learned how to move
Oh.
so slowly that my movements are imperceptible.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yes, Dark Matter Dev. He was just way ahead of us. Just way ahead of us. Okay, so I think this ran. If I hit run the game, it looks like it runs it. And I love how we don't have names for all the bots, which is fun.
They have GUIDs. It's fine.
They have,
Everybody will be like, you know, thrilled that bot number ABC123 yada 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 is the
yeah,
the winner.
super readable right now. Super readable. We used to have the names up there. We just recently changed to using those GUIDs instead of the names for uniqueness. Let's go ahead and mess with that a little bit then. Do I still have 100 windows open? No. Okay, good. All right. So it looks like it runs. Something that we need to do. So I did say that we could do the is, right? We said these are bots. These are base bots. Right? Yeah. So since we know it's a base bot, why don't we set its name based on what we pulled out of the database?
Sure.
Name equals competitor dot name. That way they definitely all get names. Whoops. This needs a setter. Why don't we what?
Yes, no, you're good. I got you.
Yeah, because we're pulling
I was
it
trying to
basically
remember
type,
where
yeah.
we set those names, but we put them in that get default competitors. So I see it now.
Why would it
Yeah,
not set its own name? Dark Matter Dev, that's so that we could have two instances of the same bot type. So if we have two...
fight each other.
Yeah. So we could have two bots that only throw rock, for example, and one's called Rocky, and the other one's called Good Old Rock, Nothing Beats Rock. So... Alright,
But they certainly could have a default name if we wanted to.
Yeah, they could.
We've got that covered now. So it actually runs. That's good.
Yeah, it looks like it does.
So theoretically, we should be able to add another bot to the database. If you just go into SQL Data Explorer and add another row.
Is there an easy way to make it give me a GUID in here? Or do I just have to use the GUID generator?
Well, it's an ID, so if you just leave that blank, it should automatically fill it for you.
I don't think we set it as an auto column, though.
Well, in that case, you can use tools, create GUID, and create a GUID with the appropriate format, whatever that might be. Visual Studio.
Data storage.
Or you just copy one of the other GUIDs that's there and change a character.
Yeah, that's technically true. Adding bot table. Okay, yeah, I could just copy this one and change the ID by... so what is this one?
Rock 2.
Good old Rock.
The Rock.
Okay. So now it should just do just as well as the other one. Not that we're going to be able to tell, but...
Well, no, because we only see the GUID. But you know the GUID. You just typed in the GUID.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Add another row, which would we call Dwayne Johnson.
Maybe if I had like deleted 3 characters and made it like 777, I'd remember it. But now we've got Good Old Rock, and it does as well as Rocky, so that sounds like it's probably the same one. I'm still happy that Signals and Cleverbot are up on the top, because they're the ones that are supposed to be able to win. They're the ones that actually do something clever. Yeah, SmartBot also has a strategy. The problem is it loses to the clever bots. It has a different approach, but it loses clever bots. Okay.
Let's display the name on
Yep.
results, and then we can be in a good spot.
Yep, I agree.
Rocky and Guild of Rock both at 3 and 4. All right. Why are there only 7 plays when there's 9 bots?
Oh, Steve, I can't open that file. This is an issue in VS Live Share, has been for a while. Do you want to mess with the CSHTML file? The reason why is we're not displaying the ties right now.
Oh, why not?
We could. We just aren't yet.
All right, do I need to mess with this file in what way? Do you need me to just get out of it? Or
No,
save it?
the CSHTML, not the CS.
Oh,
the front-end
okay.
file, I can't open it anymore, and I won't until we restart Visual Studio.
How nice. Okay.
Yeah, there's a bug in VS Live Share. We've run into this before. We could not figure out how to get that thing to work. So that file is locked to Steve now. He's the only one who can open it.
Nice. Well, I have it open.
Yeah.
But what we really need is to change what we're sending it, because our model has match results in the all full results type, and match results still only has the player 1 ID, I believe. We
Yep.
didn't change that, right?
We have bot name in there also in full results, but it's not set yet. So I'm going to go to the game runner class and see if I can add the name to it as well.
We're looking at match result, right? That's what we're talking about?
I was talking about full results, but I can look at match results if you prefer.
Yeah, full results isn't what I have, though. Is it? Well, at least not in the loop that I'm looking at.
Okay, well, match results is fine. It's got
Yeah, for each full result. Okay, I can say, yeah, all right. I can say there. I can give it a name. For this bot, match results for at full results dot, and then I've got a name. That's fine. Bot name. IntelliSense would be nice, but old school. All right, so that's done and saved, and we could hit refresh on the page, which shouldn't even have to rebuild because it's just a CSHTML. And you should see at that top level div, but then inside the detail view, where it's looping through each match result, that's where we also need a name.
Now that name might not be set yet on all of these.
Well, it doesn't exist yet. That's why it's an issue. But we have the GUID, so we could load the competitor given the GUID. I don't want to do that in the view, but we could.
Also, I added ties, so up on the top in that bot results section, just add ties.
All right, sounds good. Dash add bot rank dot ties. Done. So let's test that out. We should at least be able to see.
Well, oh, not quite. Hang on.
The names in a couple places.
Let me try building. I might need to build. Because part of that was not in a CSHTML file, so it wasn't going to automatically rebuild.
Right.
There we go. Okay, so wins, losses, ties. Why do you set property values from parameters in the constructors? Do you mean like this?
It makes it so that if you create this type, you are guaranteed that it's always going to have those values set. So if the type doesn't make sense without those values, you're not left in a state where someone could create an instance and then forget to set a type, and now your object has some error later on down the line because it wasn't properly initialized.
Yep. That is a good description of it. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to get some names on these so that this data is actually kind of clear. So right now we have player ID, but I think we want to put competitor on here instead of this GUID, right? Inside a match result.
Right, where it says full game results, and it says results for, I gave it the bot name, but it must be empty or null or something. because in the H4, that's right inside that loop, it's showing currently, it looked like just the bot ID, but it should show both the bot name and the bot ID is what I have it set to. So tell you what, we'll put the ID in parentheses. Then it'll be clear that that change occurred. Hit reload on your page.
Okay. So I'm going to change match result. Does that look better, Steve?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. I changed match result. I haven't compiled to this yet, but I changed match result to have competitor instead of just the GUID.
Yeah, I can't see your screen very well. For whatever reason, your Skype screen share is paused or locked up from some time ago. But I'm seeing it through the Twitch, with some delay. So, okay, so I need to do, it'll be a competitor, player one. So player one dot name.
And I'm going to do the same thing on full results.
Full results is going to be what?
It's going to have a competitor instead of having the name and ID on it.
All right, so it'd be dot competitor. And if I want the name, I'll say dot name.
I called it dot bot, but yeah, I can call it competitor.
Yeah, whatever. Let's just pick. You're calling it player in one place, competitor in another place, bot in another place.
Yeah.
Let's just decide what our ubiquitous language should be for
competitor.
This thing. Okay.
Wonk. Okay.
Am I supposed to be able to save in LiveShare? Or I'm sorry, to build on my end in LiveShare? Because it never lets me build.
Yeah, I'm not sure how frequent. I'm not sure how well you get to build. I think it builds on my machine only. Because I'm not sure you always have a full set of the files. I think it keeps a small subset of what it needs. Blub. The short answer is yeah, probably. Will probably allow you to use WebSockets without using SignalR. It's just our C# example is going to use that. We'll just have to make another bot to connect to WebSockets that doesn't use SignalR. And glad there's only a 5-second latency there, Dark Matter Dev. Okay, so instead of this, we're going to select that. And then I can distinct on the value, right? And say distinct ID? No? Okay. We need a quality comparison in on our competitor. We need to support equality. Because I'm starting to distinct on them. Do you want me to add that, or do you want to add that?
I'll add it. We just override equals, right?
Yep. So that's competitors. This is competitor. So essentially the idea is because I'm comparing a competitor object code to a competitor object here, I need to have equality on this type. I need to make sure that we've defined that equality is going to be a comparison of the ID values, essentially.
And are you going to call that equals, or do I need to implement an interface? Or is it automatically going to call? I can't remember.
I think if you do, it's the iEquality interface. If you do that one, it should work. Hang on. Let me do something real quick. I'm gonna cheat to get it. So let me nuke all this. I'm just gonna hit Alt. What is it? Alt Insert, and then say equality members. And we are equality. Oh no, it doesn't have it.
Yeah, I don't think all those refactorings are set up for core yet.
No, it doesn't know about the base entity.
Hmm.
That's the problem. So I'm going to do this temporarily, just so that ReSharper can figure it out. So now I'm going to do an alt insert and tell it I want to do equality members. And I'm going to say that ID is what it's going to use for equality.
That's what I just did.
Yeah, but it does
do it a little more robustly.
Yeah, and now I'm going to get rid of that ID.
That works.
Yeah, I'm going to move this to the top, though.
Is there any reason why we don't just put this stuff on the base entity?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Let's just put it on the base entity. Because, well, yeah, because equality will always be based on the ID.
Yes. Well, at least that's what we're saying for now. There's reasons why that might not always be true, but for now we're going to say yes. That's our intent.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to do equality based on the ID. Okay. That should work. Alright, let me take a look at what compiler errors we still have. Full results does not contain a definition. Okay, those are in the CSHTML.
No.
They're uses of player 1 or something like that.
There's not. Like, there is player 1, but I looked at match results and it has a player 1.
Oh, maybe it's just confused.
Right, player 1, player 2.
Order by competitor name. And this is...
There's no red squiggles on mine either, which is annoying. Like, if they had a problem, it ought to tell me.
Yeah, you'd think that, wouldn't you?
So I've seen that error, line 26, on your screen forever. Do you think my changes are not being reflected in your thing, so you can't load that page?
Yes, I think that's what's going on.
What
so
if you
it may not be a
restart
problem.
Visual Studio? Or, like, are you going to be able to run it with that?
We'll find out.
Maybe with a console, you can do a .NET run?
Yeah, hang on. Because there's still other errors to get first. Oh, player 1 and player 2 aren't, whoops. These aren't the right object. So base bot needs a competitor object on it, right? Does it have it yet?
Why does it need a competitor object?
Oh, well, I guess we can do this then.
Remember, we already said that you could have multiple instances of a competitor that were the same bot type, so it doesn't make sense for the bots to know about the competitor.
No. You can have multiple bots that you can have. Yeah, you can have multiple of the same bot type, but the competitor is going to be just one. So it would have a competitor object at runtime. It could have a competitor object because it's going to have an ID and a name, right?
Of that instance of that bot could be associated. Yeah. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But does it need to know it?
Can I not set the... Oh, I can set the ID. Okay. On a competitor. So this is player1.id and then name equals player1.name. Is that a property I'm not allowed to set? How do I create a competitor object with a... So we can hydrate it there, but not hydrate it here. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to change how the base bot works. Instead of having its own ID and name, it's going to have a competitor object.
Which will have the ID and name.
Yes.
Right. That's a big change, but pretty simple.
Yeah.
But you're going to touch a lot of things.
It's going to change like 15 things. That, or I could do this. I have a way around that, actually.
Have them just delegate to it?
Yeah. Which actually, I could do that with a name is competitor dot name and ID equals competitor dot.
Where's it getting model from?
You just got confused there for a second. Okay, so now that we have this, this creates the question of this now needs to have a new competitor object by default, right? How do we, or competitor? Yeah, and competitor needs to have the, I'm not sure how we initialize this now.
Right.
Whoops. Don't want the semicolon there.
I mean, the way we've set up our system now, we're going to hydrate this thing from Entity Framework. The first thing we're going to get back is the competitor type. The competitor type knows the type of the bot to initialize. It's going to initialize that bot using reflection, at which time it could set those properties and just set its competitor to this.
Yeah, so when we're running this from coming through EF Core, it's going to be fine. The problem that we're going to run into is when it's not coming from EF Core and we're just creating it. So the initial creation that sets up what goes into our database is what's going to fail.
Right.
Yep, it's going to be a compiler error in a moment. It's going to be one of these. Okay, so I need to change from this to be a base bot instead of an ibot, because I put the competitor object on here for whatever reason.
Why did you have an ibot instead of just a base type? I don't usually use interfaces for entity types.
Yeah, so
they weren't technically entities
they
at that time.
weren't at the beginning, and that's why we're probably going to get rid of that interface.
Okay.
I was originally asked, like, when I got the base class, why I did the abstract class, and I was like, well, because we need it now. We originally did the interface because we didn't need anything more. It was very much Yagni. This is where they go away and become the correct thing. So ibot is basically going to stop getting used everywhere. Okay, so now we're assigning the competitor there. Name equals competitor.name on this, but this has a name already, doesn't it? That should already have it. Wait, this is the game runner, so this is competitor equals competitor. There we go. So this is when we're hydrating. We're creating the bot, we're setting its competitor equal to that competitor, so that should work fine.
Mm-hmm.
This needs to become base bot instead of the interface. Janisku, you're suggesting we use a tuple or a tuple, depending on how you want to say it, of player 1 and player 2. We could get away with that in some places. Competitors, let's make this base bot. And this one also be base bot. So now we have list of base bots. Again, base bot. Possible unattached reference comparison. Use equals method. Hang on. How do I make this? I need to override the actual equality, the actual equals sign comparison here, because I think it's right. I think that might be the wrong type of comparison.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about when we were implementing that.
Yeah. All right. Can I get away with? Do you remember how to do that one?
I'm looking it up now.
Cool, thanks. I don't remember how to override the actual equals sign.
Do we need to? Overriding that checks reference equality. Immutable types operator should be checking reference equals.
I just don't know whether this is getting covered or not, and the tooling seems to think we're not doing it. We could do it like this and actually just do an equals call instead of using the double equals operator. Then we'd be certain. Okay, the only issues I've got now are the ones in the CSHTML file, so I'm going to attempt to build, and if everything else works, then I will run this. I will try running the site.
Okay.
And I might have to restart Visual Studio, which would involve kicking you out and letting you back in if this doesn't work. Yep, alright, we're going to kick you out and let you back in. End collaboration session. Close. Do-do-do-do-do. Time to just make this work. Rock, paper, scissors, boom. Steve, I'm going to send you a new invite.
Okay. Through the same mechanism as before?
Yes. That's the plan. So this is literally all we have to do to set up VS Live Share, and once we both have it installed, I just click that little sharing button, and it is going to... Well, I probably should have waited for Visual Studio to finish loading first, but now I have copied to my clipboard a link that I'm going to send to Steve. So
I bet if you were using VS Code,
I can do it from VS Code also.
Like, you might not have this issue with the view that you're having.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't.
Oh, that's nice. It wants to launch a new instance of Visual Studio for this. So now I have 3 Visual Studios running.
That's what you wanted, right? I think that's what you wanted.
Yeah, well, it's good that I've got more RAM that I know what to do with.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and then I get this okay that Steve is in here, and I just say, okay. So, and I could have kicked him out if I wanted to. Oh, build errors. Okay. We still had a basebot.name thing that we need to fix.
So the question is, did my changes to the CSHTML disappear when you kicked me off the thing? Because if you had it locked and they couldn't be updated on your end, and I had them, but you kicked me out, then surprisingly, no, it looks like they're there. The changes are still there.
Yeah, the changes should still be there. It was just Visual Studio that was weird about it.
All right, that's good.
Yeah.
It's not as nasty as I thought it was.
No, it shouldn't be. Because I ran into this problem with James Chambers a long time ago. We ran into exactly this stupidity where it was like locking files for some reason that we don't understand. Okay, so now it should be running the page, and there it goes. Okay, so we do have names for the players. Oh, you have the name and the ID on them. Okay. But we don't need that ID anymore, do we? Not displayed, at least.
No, we probably don't.
Okay. Let's get this committed, because this is a big change. This is changing to use a competitor object. Use competitor object with name and ID values. Okay. Next thing that we want to make happen here is actually storing some of this data of a result. So my thought on the first thing that we should probably store is just this top result here. And then the next thing would be all the actual individual results of what actually happened.
Right. You're still trying to get it into the database.
Yeah, exactly. So make it so that when you run this, we actually store some of this. Not that we have to get it done today, but...
Sure. In the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. But that is like the plan for that.
Right. We made pretty good progress today, though.
Yeah, I think so. I thought that was pretty good. So, functionality-wise, we are exactly the same place where we were at the beginning of this. We have the same functionality we did at the beginning, except that now it runs out of the database. So we can add more bots, and we can add a page to add more bots. Because the SignalR bot, for example, when we run it, literally we just need to pass in the bot type and the URL, and it'll hydrate thanks to this. So, and it actually might make sense to have some kind of base type that it's identifying that is like, has the URL or something like that when hydrating these. And then the other thing is I would like to move this into this logic into some kind of factory here, so that this isn't right here in the runner code. So, okay.
I would eventually want to move the SignalR bot out of the web project also, because I realize it has a dependency on web, but it's a different web.
Yes.
Right.
I want to make... So I didn't make any of the infrastructure projects yet. I'm going to have an infrastructure project that knows about the database and one that knows about web concerns.
Right.
So a class library that understands both web clients so that we could make reference to just a simple API, as well as one that can use a WebSockets approach and SignalR approach. Of course, SignalR using WebSockets in this case. So
the other thing I would look at as you move toward additional persistence is think about where your aggregates are going to be and what you want to save as an aggregate. Right now, we basically just have competitors, and maybe those are their own thing. But once you have a full result, which is a collection of a bunch of match results, that full result is probably an aggregate.
Yep.
That the match results all belong to.
Yep. And I think we'll save a full result that is going to have all the individual pieces of what happened, and that is the result of a match.
Yep.
So.
And then that means in your DB set, you won't need to have a DB set, in your DB context, you won't need to have a DB set of match result. To get to a match result, you'll just load the full result.
Correct. Yep. And then because it's the aggregate, we'll just include all the additional tables of where the other data is. Yep. Yep. That's the plan. So, and I think it should be a good one. But yeah, I do think that the competitor, I think, is its own piece, though. Because those get loaded individually. When I, as a user, register with the site, I'm going to create the bots that I want competing for me. And so, because I'm individually creating one, I think it's going to be its own object and not live within the aggregate of a competition.
Correct. I agree.
So, surprisingly, I'm saying that a competitor is not part of a competition.
Well, it's because it could be part of many competitions.
Exactly. Yes. Okay, cool. Well, I think that is a pretty good stopping point. So we're committed. We're all pushed up. We'll do a review of that next time we work on this. And I may do some more on this outside of the stream. But a couple of things I want to go through here. First off, I want to thank Steve up there in the corner. Hi, Steve.
Hi. Hey, I will be streaming someday, so you can look for me on twitch.tv/Ardalis.
Type your name. Yeah, you're. Hang on, wait. Let me see if the bot works at all. Ardalis. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Big shout out to Steve there.
I have fans. Oh, my message is deleted. You don't trust me to post links.
Yeah, you don't have permission to... hang on, wait, Steve, I'll fix that. There you go, Steve. Now you have permission to post links. Congratulations, you now have a sword.
I have a sword.
Yes.
I don't see a sword on in my chat, but okay.
Oh, you will see one in the future.
Okay.
If you type more, because I already see one for you.
Cool.
So, anyway, I wanted to thank Steve for stopping by and pairing with us today. And I want to thank everybody else who followed or spoke up or anything, or if you just watched there, thank you also for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. And, what day is it today? Thursday? It's Thursday, June 14th. So, I will be streaming again this Saturday, so I hope to catch all of you there. So, alright. Let's take off. Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
See ya.